If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Hi everyone, it's Ken with Ken's Creations. Well, today I'm going to show you how you can create this Duck Dynasty card for a birthday card or any other project that you might want. I'll show you where to import the file and how to edit it in the Silhouette Cameo software. This card actually got some great response from a lot of my followers wanting to know how to do this. So hopefully this video shows you how I created this card and the different processes. The card on the outside, as you can see, features all 4 of the Duck Dynasty cast members. I did do some layering, and then I also added some wobbles underneath them. So on the front of the card, you'll see here that the little characters move when you open the card. So it kind of gives them a little bit of a comical effect. And then I'll also go over all the techniques I did on the outside of the card to give it the gray hair and then the blue texture in the background there. So the first thing we need to do is show you where to get these files and how to import them into your Silhouette Cameo. So let's jump right into it. This was the #1 requested thing, is how do I create this file? So let me show you. So first thing we need to do is we need to find that file. I actually found a lot of these files doing a Yahoo image search. And now I was actually looking for a slogan for Duck Dynasty, so I put in the word Duck Dynasty shirt and then hit search. And then once your search produces results, you're going to have the option to go into an image result, which will actually bring up images of your search. So right here on the left-hand side, we're going to click images right there. And this will bring up multiple different options that you can look at. And essentially what you're going to be looking for is more resolution your picture has. So here brings up a whole bunch of different options. What we're going to do is know that it's 1167 times 1600, which means it's a pretty big file. So you're going to go ahead and select that image, and then once that image is brought up on your computer here, you're actually going to right-click on it, and you're going to save the image. Now, I always save this image onto my desktop, so that way it is very easy to find. You can save it anywhere you want, but for me, that works the best. So I just put Duck Dynasty Faces shirt, and then you're going to hit save. Okay? So when you go to your desktop, it will be right there. Hey. So the next thing we need to do is we need to bring this into our Silhouette software. Now I have the designer edition, so I'm able to import other files. So all I have to do with the designer is I have to actually click and drag this right onto my mat. Now, it's going to be a pretty big size, which that's okay, because first thing we're going to do is we need to resize it. So make sure your image is selected. I knew I wanted these sizes to be about 2 inches. I wanted the heads to be 2 inches. So I knew I needed to shrink it down. So the first thing I want to do is lock our aspect ratio, so it keeps the ratio of the heads. And then I figured out that it was about 11 inches high that I needed it to be. And the way I found out that heads would be 2 inches is if you actually select your image, there's a ruler over here, and the top of it's 0, so this will be about 2.5 inches. So right now, if I was to print this and cut this, it's just going to print this, the shirt, and then it's going to cut around here. So the first thing I need to do is I need to separate all 4 of these images off of the shirt, and we're going to do that by going to this little knife option over here. So if you click that knife option, it's going to bring up your options to do straight, poly, curve, or freehand. We want poly, and that's going to give you an ability to make a box. So for what I mean by that is you're going to click, and then you're going to draw your first line, and this doesn't have to be perfect by any means. Once you click again, it's going to let you form a second line, so on and so forth, until you make a complete box. And then all you're going to do is you're going to select your mouse and move that out of the way off the map for now. Now we're going to do this for every single one of our images here. And by no means does this need to be perfect. The one thing you do need to worry about though is you don't want to cut it off. So this one, as you can see, I'm going to cut off. So I want to make sure I go around the whole image. So continue doing this until you have all 4 of your characters cut out. And as you can see, I'm not perfect by any means. You can make them a square. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be tracing these images. The key part here is you don't want to cut out anything from the image. So be careful where you're cutting the beard and everything. Now the shirt part, we don't need that anymore, so we're going to select that and hit delete. And then we're going to bring our characters back into our mat. Now this is going to be a print and cut option, so we need to make sure that our registration marks are showing. And we also want to make sure that it's to the correct paper size, so I'm an 8.5 by 11. So the next thing we need to do is we need to tell the computer that we're going to be cutting these. Now, when we cut this, it's going to cut just the image. So we're not concerned that this is a different color because that's going to be cut out of the picture anyways. So we're going to go to our trace option, which is this window here, and we're going to select our trace area, and we're just going to draw a box around all of our guys. So we're going to start with this gentleman here, and as you can see, it brings them up in yellow. So what we want to do is we want to turn our high pass filter off, and then we're going to bring our threshold up until basically the entire image here is coated in yellow. Now, as you can see, if we go too high in the threshold, you're going to start seeing these little dots. So let me zoom in so you can see that. And we don't want that. So you're going to slowly bring it down until the yellow is just the image of what you want. And then all we're going to do is we're going to hit Trace Outer Edge. Okay? So now, as you can see, if I was to go into my cut settings, it's going to cut along just this outer edge. And now I could turn my high pass filter in a little bit more to get that more precise to where they're not black. But to be honest, I ended up stamping these with blank anyways, so it didn't matter if a little white showed. So we need to do that for each set of these gentlemen. So we're going to select our trace area again. We're going to draw a box around this lovely man. We're going to take our high pass filter off, and we're going to bring our threshold up a little bit. So once again, we don't want to get crazy on the threshold. Make sure we like what we're doing. That looks great. Trace outer edge. He is all done. Now, it's important before we do anything or move these, we also need to group them. So that way the trace and the cut are together. So what I mean by that is, I'll show you in this one. When we select our trace area, and we turn our high pass filter off, and then this one actually looks good. So we're just going to hit Trace Outer Edge. Now, I want to draw a box around this, and I want to group this. If I don't do that, once I move it, so see how he's grouped? If I did this on this one and moved it, see how it moves him out of his cut settings, which we don't want. So if you were to move the image or anything like that, you want to make sure it's grouped so you don't lose out on that. And then our last one, we still need to trace him, so we're going to go ahead right there. We need to turn our high pass filter off. This one actually looks really good too, so we're just going to hit Trace Outer Edge, and we're going to group it. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is you need to go ahead and send this to your printer. I always double check before I send it anywhere that my cut settings are there. So it's cutting around all 4 of these images, which is brilliant. So we're going to go ahead and send that to the printer. We're going to print this out on whatever sheets you have. And then once you have printed it out, you're going to go ahead and send it to the Silhouette machine by clicking that button to send to Silhouette. You're going to go ahead and skip printing since we've already done that. You're going to go ahead and continue. And then you're going to tell the machine to go ahead and detect your print settings automatically. And then hit cut. Alright, so that takes care of the front of the card. That's all I did to create these guys, and then I'll go into detail about what elements I used on the rest of it. So taking a look at the outside of the card, the first thing we'll take a look at are the guys themselves. I did put their beards through a ripple crimp to give it that wavy look, and then on the 2 older gentlemen, I used white and gray dewdrop ink, and I just took an ink blotter and gave it that nice gray look. On this gentleman up here, I used a Tim Holtz pearlized black to give it that nice glazy sunglass look. And you can get that at Joann's or anywhere. Now, specifically on the edges here, I cut this in black and white paper at 0.25% difference here. And then on the base of the card here, I used a wide variety of different styles. I have this camo, a dot style, and then also a stripe style. And I cut those in 1 by 1 inch squares, and I stagger them in different patterns. And I was just trying to match the blue in their headbands and the camo in their hats. And that's the reason I did all the different textures. Now along the edges here, you can see that it has been ripped. I used Tim Holtz distressing here, and all you do is you run your paper through all these little slits, and it actually gives that nice teared look. And obviously the more you do it, the more aggressive the look is. So as you can see here, I did a pretty good tear along them. And then all I did on here is I found a dewdrop ink to match this scarf up here, and then I ran it along the edge here, all the way around the card, and I did a little messy. Now the other thing I did, and I'm not sure if you can see, but on here there's a texture, and what I did is I actually took the white paper and I crumpled it up as tight as I could, and then I unfolded it. And then using this chalk ink Versa Magic Night Sky, I took my ink blot very gently over all the creases from the crumpled paper, and I just gave it a textured look by using an ink diver. And you just want to do it lightly. If you do it too hard, it will get too much, and you actually just want to brush where the creases were on the card. And the final thing I did on this card is I wanted to use some camo ribbon to tie it shut. So I did use this tool here, which is a We Are Memory Keepers, and I think they call it a crocodile. And I was able to use these silver eyelets on the inside and outside there. And then I was able to tie it shut with some camo string just to kind of finish off the card. So that's how I created the outside of the card. That should all be done. So let's go ahead and take a look on the inside, show you how we created that and how it looks. So on the inside of the card, you're going to go ahead and see an area that I used some 3D foams, which says Happy Birthday to the head of the Hess Dynasty. And then Love, Ken, and Sean at the bottom. Now, obviously, I wanted to incorporate the whole Duck Dynasty theme on the inside, and it was my dad's birthday, so he's obviously the leader of the Hess Dynasty, and that's why we went with that sentiment. On the outside of the cards, as you can see, I used four forest green stars to incorporate the greens from the card, and then I used the brown and blue polka dot for the base of it. And then I did this little tag at the bottom that just says Love, Ken, and Sean. And I tilted it a little bit just to give it some difference there. So let's go ahead and silhouette Cameo and show you exactly how we created this. It'll be really quick, and then we should be done. That says Happy Birthday to the Hess Dynasty, or the leader of the Hess Dynasty. And obviously that incorporates the whole Duck Dynasty theme. Now for a lot of my sentiments, I actually use what I call label shapes or frames from the Silhouette online store. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of different styles here. The one I ended up using was an actual print and cut style. It was in the Halloween section. The reason I chose this is it's a print and cut, first of all, which I love, and second of all, it was perfect for the colors. So it had the green around it, which would incorporate the green, and then the black. So we're going to go ahead and bring that into session. Now, I actually love the size of this, so I don't have to change the sign. However, I don't want this bottom part. So we need to get rid of that. So the first thing we're going to do is that's going to let us get rid of this bottom one, and that leaves us with the top one. Once we got rid of that one on the bottom, we're going to draw a box around this one, and then we're going to right-click and hit Group. And that's going to group us back together. And since it's a print cut file, it's already set up to cut around the edges. All right. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and type our sentiment, which is, we're going to go into this letter over here, and I wanted to try to find a font that was as close to the Duck Dynasty writing. And upon research, I found out that the closest that I would have would be, I believe it's called Baskerville. Okay, so then obviously you can type anywhere, so we can say Happy Birthday to the head of the Hess Dynasty. Okay, so there is our sentiment. First thing we're going to do is center that, of course. And then, of course, we're going to want to change the sign. But first, let's go ahead and bring it down to whatever size we think it will fit. And so you can just shrink it down there and bring it up here. Now, there's different ways you can do it. You can either keep shrinking it until it fits and you like it, or you can keep messing with the different font sizes. So I can go a little bigger on that if I wanted. So I like that right there. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to go ahead and change the color. So we're going to come up here. I'm going to change it to white. And then I also want to change the line color. So if you see all these lines in a row here, we're going to change that to white too. And then the one thing that I always forget, and it's so frustrating, is you want to come to your cut settings and make sure that we don't cut that. Because if not, what will happen is you'll put it into your machine and it will start cutting out your individual letters and you're going to have to reprint it and recut it. So it's a mistake I always make. So there is that for us. I always just, to make sure everything's centered, is I'll draw a box around this. I'm going to come up to this window here, which is the align, and then I'm going to hit align center. And it's just going to move everything to make sure it's center. Once I know it's center, I'm going to right click and group it. And that's it, guys. We're going to go ahead and send this to the printer. So we need to make sure our registration marks are there. It's 8.511. We're going to go and send this to the printer. And then we're going to go ahead and cut it on our machine. And that is done. We'll get the rest of it put together. So on the inside of the card, you can see we did the same technique that we did on the outside of the card. We used the Tim Holtz distressing tool. You run the edge of that sentiment card right through these different slits right here. Now, because this one was a print and cut, when you do that, it brings white out instead of obviously black, which is fine. I actually liked that. So we're just going to do that with this sentiment all the way around the whole entire sentiment. Now, on the bottom below the sentiment, this tag was made that said Love, Ken, and Sean. I did that using the Making Memories tag maker. I got this on clearance last year, I believe, for like $5, and I actually use it a lot to make tags or sentiments. So it's real simple. You just cut it down to size, you put it in the little frame, you put it into this machine, you press down, and it makes a tag maker, or makes a tag. So great little machine if you can get your hands on one for a reasonable price. Great, great item. The one thing I didn't mention before that I did want to mention, on the front of the card, these 4 guys are on what's called wobbles. You can get them on Amazon, I believe, eBay, if you just look up wobbles craft item or something. And in the video up above, you can see where they would actually, if you flick them, they wobble. And what I like about it is when someone opens the card and they take it out, they're all wobbling right there. So it's really interactive feature. So that finishes up the card, guys. Thank you so much, and I hope this really helped some people out. Well, thanks everyone for checking out this video. Make sure you're following my blog at creativeken.blogspot.com, and you can check out my other projects, and make sure that you guys are sharing, liking, and commenting on my YouTube videos. Thanks. Have a great day.